I promise that at the end of the spiritual armor lesson, that I will go back to verse 12. Okay, in Ephesians chapter 6. Okay, that's where we were at. Ephesians chapter 6. And we did verses 10 through 18. I threw 18 in there to tell us don't stop praying. But I promised to go back to verse 12 to talk about these forces, okay? Now, look at verse 12. All of us should be familiar with verse 12, so I'm not going to read in its entirety, okay? But I will say this, according to verse 12. We are in the realm of mankind, okay, which means the physical world, okay? In the physical world, as you know, we are restricted in this realm until death extracts the spirit from this shell, from this realm, to go back to its permanent home. But while we're here, we have been given spiritual authority from the finished work. I was thinking about something else. From the finished work of Christ on the cross. And when I say the finished work, means Christ is not dying again. He's not going through this again. Okay? So it is finished. I want to give those ammunition if you don't have no word hidden in your heart. Remember, I said before we close the spiritual armor lesson down, that spiritual growth is the key to your spiritual armor. Now, I'm going to give you a verse so that you can memorize. I'm only speaking to those who do not take studying, having word in their heart seriously. I want you to write down 1 John chapter 4, verse 4. 1 John chapter 4, verse 4. This is a simple Bible verse that you can remember to add as ammunition when you start to develop your spiritual armor. And you say this every day. Greater is He, talking about the Holy Spirit, that is in you. But I want you to make it personal. Say me. Greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world. Speaking of our enemy. Okay? That is something you can say every day, all day, anywhere, all day, at any time, day. Okay? Learn it. Now, in Paul's letter to the Ephesians, and we're looking at verse 12 of chapter 6, Paul gives us a look at demonic forces. Now, most people want to put these in a specific rank, but we have to understand Paul's letter in its context and its content. Paul is not concerned about where the ranks fall. Okay? That's not what this letter is about. So he's not telling you this power goes here, this force goes here. That's not the context of what Paul's letter. What Paul is doing through those forces that he gives is exposing the human authority that is on earth as being connected, okay, or under the influence of these supernatural and satanic operations. Okay? So what Paul does is he reveals or he unveils these forces, demonic forces, in verse 12. And he tells us that they are influencing our governments. Okay? They are influencing our nations. And they are influencing our world leaders to push wicked agendas. You got it? So he's not concerned about the order. He's concerned of what these demonic forces are doing on earth through mankind. All right. He says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Verse 12. But against principalities. These are rulers for Satan. Principalities. Okay, write that down. They are rulers for Satan. Excuse me. They are high-ranking forces. And they deal with nations and governments. Okay? This group of forces, a force, they have certain areas where we live. They have certain cities. Matter of fact, all cities. They have a demonic prince over every city, every hamlet, okay, over it to influence certain demonic activities, okay? We know this because Daniel chapter 10, it says the prince of Persia. The prince of Persia was over that territory, okay? So do not kid yourself. Massillon has a prince. Canton has a demonic prince. Cleveland, Akron, Youngstown, Philly, Steubenville, New York, Las Vegas, Hawaii, the Cancuns, they all have a demonic prince over it to influence certain demonic activities in that area. All right. The next one is powers. These are another high-ranking force of evil, okay? And these forces control world leaders and political systems, okay? So they, anytime you see wicked agendas coming from our government and our world leaders, you know now they are influenced by these ranking order. They influence or they control world leaders and political systems. Rulers of the darkness, okay? Another ranking demonic force that carries out the agendas for the dark side, okay? They also control governments and armies of the world, okay? They also control the blindness and the ignorance to fall on the world, which mankind will be led by its deception and will lead them to unrighteous behaviors. Okay? So when we say, man, the world is blind, yes. Yes. Because they have fallen under the rulers of the darkness. When we say, man, why is people acting so ignorant? They're under the rulers of the darkness influence, because it's designed to push blindness and ignorance. Okay? Spiritual wickedness in high places is another high-ranking force, and they operate in the heavenlies. The heavenlies is the atmosphere. Now, here's what they do. They infiltrate the religious systems of the world. Okay? They set up forms of worship in spiritual places, directed from the heavenlies. Okay? And these forms of worship in spiritual places is there to lead mankind from the truth of God. Also, keep mankind arguing about religion, spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay? If you don't have your armor, you lose. Simple and plain. You will get all type of darts thrown at you, and you will lose. Okay? So, we're no match for them without God's help. We're no match for them without God providing us the resources, spiritual resources, to protect ourselves and fight them. And in order for us to confront these intellectual, listen to me now, in order for us to confront these intellectual, celestial, unseen order, Paul said that we must dress for the battle. Your spiritual armor is developed as you pursue spiritual growth. Okay? Once again, no believer on this earth can endure Satan's wiles, W-I-L-E-S, without being dressed for battle. God bless you all, and I pray that y'all take heed.